Hi there, guys, and welcome to another episode of NUFC 360. Today with me, I've got Jack, Callum, and Daz, also known as Darren by his wife, as he likes to tell us all of the time. Now, in today's show, we're going to be touching on Newcastle so far this season. Not just the last game. What's been going wrong? What has gone right? If there has anything gone right up to now. And also, we will touch on the next game, which is against Burnley away. So, Jack, nice to have you with us. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, mate. How are you? It's nice to be, obviously, nice to actually be on the podcast for the first time in a while. Been doing my stuff at TalkSport and everything, which has been going well. But yeah, it's nice to be back on.
Yeah, it's nice to have another celeb with me, so to speak, you could say.
No, definitely not.
Callum, how are you?
Not bad. Just getting through this rest of the Christmas period. Hopefully, we'll get through the match tomorrow without wanting to pull my hair out again. But here we are.
Great, no, brilliant. Daz, all good?
Yeah, all good here. Just similar to everybody else, I suppose. It's that nothingness of time between Christmas and New Year. And thankfully, I've got a week off work, so I don't have to worry about that. I can just kind of relax and chill out. And well, I say relax and chill out. It all depends on how tomorrow's game goes. But yeah, all good.
Oh, brilliant. So obviously, we're moving on to the points of this season so far. I did obviously dig out a few points that I wanted to talk to you guys about and bring up. Because obviously, at this point last season, if I remember rightly, well, after the next game, after the Burnley game, going into the new year, we were going into January with 32 points, which was 9 wins, 5 draws, and 5 losses. And we're currently nowhere near that at the moment from last season. Jack, where do you think things are going wrong, or what do you think needs to change going forward?
Well, that's quite a big question, isn't it? But let's give it a crack. Why not? You know what I mean? One thing I want to do is I want to go back to last season, and I want to go back to sort of about 15 games in. Newcastle had just lost to Brentford 4-2. And there was quite a lot of talk over Eddie Howe's future, actually, because at that point, I think it was 5 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats, and we were 11th in the Premier League table. And it looked like, despite having no Europe, it was going to be a very average season. What he then did is he brought Sandro Tonali into the team, because at that point, he'd been bringing him as a sub now and then. But he decided to bring him into the team as a starter, took Sean Longstaff out of the team, put Tonali in the number 6 role, and Newcastle won 9 games in a row in all competitions. So that transformed the season. And from there, look, we went on to win the Carabao Cup and we went on to finish 5th. This season, the problem I've got is, what's the obvious fix? Because that was the obvious fix, wasn't it? I remember everyone kind of basically saying the same thing, like, look, just get Tonali in the team. Pretty sure everything will be fine. Because Isak was still scoring goals. Barnes was playing well. Murphy was playing well. So there was signs that the attacking side of the game was clicking. This year, there is issues on the ball. There's issues off the ball. We can't get the lead. We can't keep a lead. We'll drop 13 points in the Premier League from winning positions, which is unbelievable considering last season, if we took the lead, that was basically it. Newcastle won the game. And we can't get points from when we go behind either. You know, when Manchester United scored on Boxing Day, honestly, I'd sort of resigned myself to defeat. I was like, that's it. You know, we had all the ball afterwards. What did we actually create apart from Lewis Hall hitting the crossbar? And Gordon probably should have scored that one where Murphy played him in down the right and put it wide. So there are many issues with Newcastle this season. And as much as for a while I wasn't too worried, because I was comparing it to last year every time, I was like, look, we had a slow start as well. Then we clicked into gear. We're past that point now. And the issues that everyone can see aren't being resolved.
Right. No. I get that. Callum, what's your point of view? What's your view on this?
I'd definitely say there is a coaching issue of some sort, where that's just, I mean, Eddie Howe is sticking with the same formation all the time. He's picking a lot of similar players. I don't know if maybe we need to just try, maybe start. I mean, to be fair, I know he's not a fan favourite at the moment, but maybe starting with Joe Willock, taking somebody out, just try something new. I think Nick Voldemort isn't a bad player. I think he's a very good player, but I don't feel like our formation suits Nick Voltemada. And obviously, there's a bit of a goal scoring issue. I feel like the 4-3-3 will be better suited to Johan Wissa, and I feel like we do look a bit more dangerous when Wissa plays. But I do feel like we need to be getting the best out of both our strikers. So maybe it's a formation change. I don't know if maybe obviously a lot of people have been like questioning Eddie Howe's future again. Maybe is it time for a new manager, or like do we like just say Eddie Howe for the rest of the season, see if maybe in January we can get a few signings in, get rid of players who we don't think are quite good enough. But I think it is a bit of a coaching issue, and I feel like there's things that need to change. Well, both on and off the pitch, but also talking about Nick Voltemada, like in terms of attitude of the players on the pitch, like I saw like it was Nick Voltemada in I've actually forgot the name of the Man United centre back. Like that had a bit of a clash, and literally like somebody like commented on the video saying that was like 2 or 3 years ago. The whole squad had been running to support him. Like we had that bit of like feistiness and energy more to get in like our opponents' faces, and now that's just gone. And I don't know how Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall can like get that back, but I feel like there's something that needs changing. It is hard to like really put your finger on what that clear and obvious fix is.
Well, yeah. Do you know? I don't want to blame it on this because I think that a lot of Newcastle fans still do. Obviously, the Isaac saga through the summer did divide the camp in Newcastle. Could that have been one of the reasons why that break that you're talking about, that support on the field now maybe is a little bit more divided than what it was, because players aren't supporting each other as much. They support their friends now instead of as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, one of the points that Jack just... Go on.
No, I was just going to say that I do... There's some players on that pitch I don't feel like are playing for the team in Eddie Howe anymore. Like, I don't feel like they're putting in the effort that they have put in over the last couple of years. I mean, like the players that are, your Dan Burns, your Brunos, like Lewis Hall, name a few. But like, I do feel like there's a lot of players who aren't putting in that passion and energy that they once did.
Now, Jack, you mentioned something there. Easy fix. We knew last season that it was Tonali. Could it be this season that maybe it is Wissa? I know he's only started one game, which we won. Yep. By the way, the rest of the games he's only come off the bench. Could he be that quick fix once we start getting him into the team more often? Daz, what do you think on that?
I think so. I think in terms of player styles, I think he's obviously very more similar to what we had previously with Isaac than what Voltemada is. I think, and I'm going to support Nick. I think it's an easy kind of get at with him. I think what we've got to remember is that yes, we had the Isaac saga, but then Voltemada's played for the under-21s. He's had no summer off. He's had the transfer saga himself in terms of, is he going to go to Munich? Is he going to go elsewhere? Then the whole Newcastle thing comes up. Vissa unfortunately gets injured. So he's basically coming to a new country without having really a pre-season with his new team, and then having to play every minute of every game. So I think in terms of goals, I think I actually looked this up earlier as well, from the amount of games that we've played this season in comparison to last season. We'd scored 27 goals last season and conceded 21, whereas this season we've scored 23 and conceded 23. So we're not actually far off in terms of our goals scored. But for me, the 4-3-3, I just think because of, for some reason, there seems to be this lack of press or the connection with the press. Whereas when we had the three of Tonali, Joelinton and Bruno, when they were all on song and firing, when one went, it triggered another. When another went, it triggered another. Now, we were playing Chelsea the other day, obviously at home, and it's something I noticed that Ramsey was playing on the left of the three. When he went, there wasn't that joint pressing. So when he went high to press, Caicedo had lost count of how many balls he just flipped round the corner, and then they were in on us all the time. And it was the central position of the pitch that was the problem for us against Chelsea, because I thought Miley and Hall had their two wingers in the back pockets for the entire game. So it was the central part of the pitch that was causing the issues for us. So for me, I think it's not an easy fix. We're talking about professional football, but I just think that something needs to change, whether it just be a slight change of setup, slight change of personnel. I know Carl talks about Willock coming in, but then if you're bringing Willock in, are you dropping Tonali? And then if you're dropping Tonali, because we don't know how long Livermento's going to be out for, so Miley's going to have to play right back. So then that means maybe dropping Bruno back into that 6 role, and then you're kind of losing his ability to pick that pass further up the pitch. I've said this before, as you know this, gents, I think a change to a 4-2-3-1 would suit us at this moment with the players that we've got far better, and I think it would make us a little bit more sturdy defensively, because I think defensively we've not looked as solid as we have in the past.
No, I think you brought up a very good point there, and lovely stats preparing yourself for coming on there as well with the 23-23, good one there. But I think the defence and injuries, can we blame injuries this season as well? Because the amount of injuries we've had in defence this season, in just defence as well, it's not been midfield and not the attacking. It is literally defence. You look, we had Hall out for a long period. Then we've got Trippier out. We've got Tino out. We've got Botman out. We've had Pope injured. The chopping and changing there. Obviously, Miley slotted in very nicely at right back. I've got to admit, the lads played excellent in every game.
Yep.
But can that be a curse for us at the same time? Because this is what happened with Dan Burn when he slotted in at left back and he stayed there for a season and a half. That's my concern there. But the defence is something that I think is that allowed to be our excuse this season up to now, Jack? Do you think that's something that?
I think it's definitely a valid concern. I mean, if you think about the start of the season, we kept with 3 consecutive away clean sheets. I think it was 0-0 draws, but it was 3 consecutive away clean sheets. We also got a clean sheet against Wolves as well. The only goals we conceded, as far as I can remember, was against Liverpool in that that bonkers 3-2 game at St James's Park in sort of the first sort of 5 or 6 games roughly. The defence looked really, really good, and it was more so the defensive structure than I think it is actually the back 4. Because if we think about Malik Chow, I think most people would say he's probably been our best player this season. I think that's a fair shout. Then
he's the only one that hasn't been injured, by the way. Sorry, Jack.
Exactly.
He's the only one that hasn't been injured. Everyone else has been injured that's a defender.
Yeah, no. Lewis Hall and Livermento were so important to Newcastle. They absolutely are. But at the start of the season, Hall wasn't fit, so it was Tino Livermento at left back. It was Trippier at right back, and we look fine. I think the back 4, the majority of them, whenever they've played, have played well. I don't think that's been the issue. And the issue's been actually further forward and the disconnect between sort of the midfield and the front 3 when we're defending, or the midfield and the defence. This flat midfield 3 that we've played for a long time is both been a strength and a massive weakness. It's a strength because you've got 3 players who are happy to sort of rotate in the same position and are all good on the ball. But apart from maybe Joe Linton's probably the lesser of the being good on the ball. He's really good off the ball. But still, when he's on the ball, I always feel like he links up well with Bruno. He always has an instinctive awareness of where Bruno is. So it works in that sense. He doesn't start playing defence splitting passes, but he plays a simple 5-yard pass that creates a bit of space for Bruno and then Tonali. But the thing with that flat midfield 3 is that there's not one of them who actually sits in properly in front of the back 4. Yes, Tonali's usually the deeper one, but actually when you see us off the ball, it's a 4-5-1 where they're all in a line. They're all in a flat line across the midfield. And teams, for a long time now, have managed to find space in behind, get a player in behind that line. Then if the press isn't right, which it isn't because Walter Marder isn't a press and striker. This is not Walter Marder's fault. He's just not a press and striker. He hasn't got the pace to do it. He tries his best, but he hasn't got the pace to do it. And then if one of the wingers switches off, then suddenly they've got to play it in behind our midfield 3. And that feels like a solution that could be found on the training field. And it could be a bit more simple if literally just you have 2 of them further forward and then you have one of them sitting right in front of that back four, because Tonali is brilliant at intercepting the ball and breaking up play. But sometimes he's been caught up high up the field because of maybe the way he's been asked to play. So I think that is more of the issue rather than actually the injuries to the back four. I think the problem with the back four is the fact that we've got no depth at the moment. They're all injured. I mean, like, it'd be nice to even have ML Craft available. Do you know what I mean? To bring on in games, Trippier available in certain games as well. It'd be nice to have them, and we don't have them. And Botman, I'm worried about Botman again. I'm sorry. Back injury that apparently was an injection and it was fine. Where is he? Where's he gone? Again, you know, what is happening with him? Is it going to be the same thing with his knee, where it was kind of just endless sort of non-updates, and then it turns out he's done his ACL? You know, what is this back injury? You need to know what it is, because when he's fit, he's an elite centre-back. He's not been fit now properly since September 2023. That's an issue.
Well, has he really ever been fully fit? Because he seems to come back last 2 or 3 games, and then he's on the injury table again.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If you think about that first season when Newcastle finished 4th, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a better centre back in the league. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. Considering Newcastle didn't have much pace in that back four, he was incredible. So it's a shame. We've seen the odd game where he's been back to his best. I think about Arsenal in the Carabao Cup semi-finals, both legs last season. I thought it was immense. This season, a couple of games he played looked really good, but then towards the end, you could tell there was something wrong, and now who knows he's going to be out for. And it's a huge issue.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the idea of formation change, you know what, I'm a bit of an old-fashioned person in the thinking, and I think with the squad that we have at the moment, part of me would like to see a 4-4-2.
Look, like, teams do play front twos now. The remote teams that play it.
Long throws have come back into the game, which was a thing back when I was playing football. So that's back in. It disappeared for a while, and now it's all about getting the long balls, the route one football with a lot of teams now as well. Just getting that ball forward into the box as quick as possible. So why not, if things are starting to, because football evolves and then it goes back to traditions, and 4-4-2 is a traditional formation, you've got to say. Now, that's one way that you can play Voltemada and Wissa at the same time. I know Daz's idea as well of the 4-2-3-1 could work with him sitting in the 3 in the centre, but I think 4-4-2 gives us a very good setup as well, and then gets them both on the field. Gives me some nostalgia of back in the Premier League when it was Defoe and Crouch up front, little and large. Could be the same thing with Wissa and Voltemada, and they could link up quite well, because Voltemada, in my opinion, I think sometimes he gets the ball to his feet and he's really good with his feet, but he tries too much. So I don't know why he keeps trying to spin defenders when he's on the 18-yard line instead of just feeding it to someone. I don't know if you picked up on that against Man United. He tried to do it twice, where he just tried to back in and just turn around them. Well, you're going nowhere. You've got to pass and move. So that's a tough one. Obviously, with the January window coming up, do we think that defenders and a right wing, would you say right winger is probably what we need to look at, or do we hold off and stick with what we've got for now? Callum?
For defenders, I mean, I feel like if everyone's fit, we don't really need to worry this January about the defence. A right winger, I'll say maybe. Like, it's just only because Alanga hasn't really came good as of yet. For me, going back to playing like 2 up front, my issue is I don't feel like we've got a great third choice striker. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Willisula. I know a lot of people are, but I've just not seen it from him. And if we did play both Wissa and Voltemada, I would worry, like, what if one or both get injured? Like, I would worry if we've got to rely on Asula for goals. But I
You're not a fan of Bruno, so that doesn't give me much confidence either.
No, look.
Got to mention it.
Bruno's been phenomenal this season. Like, literally, I call it how I say it. Like, Bruno has been phenomenal this season. Like, literally, I was going to say, in terms of going back to the defence, I would hate to think where we would be without Bruno in Malik Chow this season. Like generally, like they've been phenomenal. Like I would hate to think where I'd be without them, but I would go for, if we've got the money there. I would go for another striker. I mean, I've been very vocal about Troy Parrott. Like his record this year has been phenomenal for both Ireland in the AZ or in Holland. I know it's not the best league that you can be played in, but like he seemed to really hit form. Maybe he just needed time and game time and just regular minutes. And I think maybe it would be good to give him another chance in the Premier League. But I think maybe just possibly another midfield option, a centre back and a forward would be my personal choice in January.
Your
But
opinion.
that's just for January. I think we do need a few fresh faces across the entire team, but that'll be what I'll go for in January if I was in charge of transfers.
Fair enough. Obviously, we're going to do a proper transfer podcast as well, but just touching on it quite quickly. Jack, what positions would you look to just improve in the window?
Yeah. So I've spoke about this before in various places and stuff, and I've basically kind of said that what we sort of need realistically is just someone who comes in, doesn't actually matter what position there is necessarily, but it's just someone who you plug into the team and they immediately approve the starting 11. Because we haven't had a player like that for a long time, probably since Sandro Tonali, really. Because let's be fair, when you sign Lewis Hall, you know, he had his first season where he didn't really play at all. And then Livramento, again, wasn't a player who immediately improved our first 11 either, because Trippier was still the first choice right back. So I think Elanga was meant to be that player, let's be fair. I do think Elanga was meant to be that player where we look at him and goes, right, he immediately improves the starting 11. It hasn't happened for him yet. You've still got to give the boy time.
Yet.
It's you know, it's
you have to. You have to. You spent 55 million quid on him.
Yeah, it's been a tough start from it has, but I do think that the view of maybe Premier League fans these days, because everything's on social media, because we see every game, you know, the quicker to make a judgment maybe of a player like that, essentially. So let's see what he's looking like at the end of the season, but just someone who improves the starting 11 immediately. It probably doesn't actually matter what position it is, because I think some of the players are maybe getting a little bit complacent, not in the sense of like they're not giving it their all, but in the back of their mind they maybe know, well, there's no one who's going to actually replace me in this team necessarily. So actually, if I'm not on my game, it's not the end of the world. I'll probably still start the next one. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. I know it's not really a great answer, but like, because I don't know what position. I generally don't know what position. It's just
it's fair. No. It's a good
statement signing. Yeah.
No, it's a good point. I like it. And before I pass this on to you, Daz, just touching on that, Elanga. Obviously, Daz, Jack, it's first time you've been on with me. Callum already knows my point of view on it, and it's nothing personal. It's nothing against him. I wasn't a fan favourite of the signing from the beginning, and probably one of the only ones. Just didn't think he was the type of player that fit into our playing style. I think he fits more in a counter-attacking playing style, which is why he worked at Forest. Whereas as we saw against Man United, which was a great example for me, is we don't have that experience yet to break a team down. The way Man City and Arsenal can do that, where it's quick passing and moving, our players are more sit back and breaking players. You got Gordon, Elanga, Barnes, where they're quick on the counter attack, but they're not. I feel they're not good enough at breaking a team down at this moment in time. It comes with being in those situations more often, and obviously learning it on the training field of how to play in more tighter spaces and passing and moving quicker. Sometimes we slow the play down too much around the outside of the box, I think. And I think that's where we're failing. That's where we're struggling. You look at how many shots we had on target against Man United. It was very, very, very low. And I thought we could have taken more chances. 2 or 3, if I remember rightly, yeah.
I feel like we do keep a hold of the ball far too long, Ali. Just pass and move, get into the box. Like, just no need to overcomplicate it. Just take a chance. Look at Lewis Hall. I mean, he was running up on defence and doing it.
That's it. Well, Daz, so the original question was, what positions would you strengthen up
In all honesty, I'm not. I don't really have one that springs to mind because for me, the injuries come into play, and I think that we've got a lot of the older lads within the squad that are suffering with injuries. You're looking at Kraft, who's injured, he's out of contract. You're looking at Trippier's out of contract, he's older. Shah the same. For me, I'd be looking at, if I was going to look at anywhere, it would be defence. I'd try to get some younger lads in, even if we go and shop abroad, because our hit rate when we go and buy abroad is a lot higher than what it's been when we bought in our own league. So if you look at it, there's a young lad, I believe we've been linked with. He can play left back or centre half at Toulouse. I'm not even going to try and say his name, but I'm sure it's Toulouse.
Go on, try.
I think it begins with an M. I'm going to leave it at that. But
I know you're on about. Try and find.
Yeah. So for me, that would be the area I would look at, because I would want to bring them in. I give them 6 because, unfortunately, I'm a very optimistic person. I think the Champions League's gone for us this season. So for me, I'll be using the next 6 months of Premier League time, cup games, European experience to try and bed these players in. Shah's already come out and already said that he doesn't like being on the bench. So is he going to be one that we shake hands with at the end of the season? Thank you for your service. And by the way, what an absolute player he's been for us over this since he signed. Incredible. 3 million quid from Deportivo, was it? Is it Deportivo? Anyway, so for me, defence would be the thing. And going back to what I think it might, I can't remember who mentioned it, the point of not being pressurised by a lack of performance. I think it goes back to the injuries. I think some of the lads have been playing through injuries, so it has affected the way that we've wanted to go out and press. I know Tonali struggled with a dead leg for quite some time earlier in the season. I know Gordon had that hip issue as well. So there are lads that are playing through injuries, and it is going to affect them. Yeah. I do agree that the 2 wide players need to get higher and wider. But if you look at the way that you mentioned, Jason, about the Arsenals, the Man Cities, the way that they break teams down, look at where the position of their players are when they're breaking them down. They're so far higher up the pitch. Their midfielders are up. They've got a natural 10. Talking about players might be available, I read today that Paqueta might be available from West Ham. I think he would do well in a 10 for us, personally. I think he's got that little bit of fight about him, which I love. And obviously, us as Newcastle fans love that about them. And obviously, he has that history with Bruno from back in his days at Lyon. So I'm not saying that's somebody I would go for, but I think for me, it would be defence. And if there is a 10 out there, if we are going to look at trying to change the way that we set up, if there is a 10 out there that's going to improve us, then I don't know where that comes from. My knowledge of the European leagues isn't as extensive as others. But yeah, for me, I'd use January trying to get an infusing of youth into the back line, because we could potentially lose 3 of very experienced, high quality squad members.
Fair shout. I like that. Fair shout. So we've got Burnley tomorrow. Burnley away. Not an easy place to go and play football. Let's start with Callum. What are you thinking, and what is your prediction for tomorrow?
Well, the joy of playing Burnley twice in a month is always exciting. Honestly, I think another 2-1 win again. I mean, I don't know if Bruno will be scoring from corners again like you did last time at St James's Park, but I think it'll be a tough game. Like, Burnley got a few decent players, but I think the quality that we've got, despite the injuries, should be enough to get over the line and get the 3 points. Fingers crossed that happens. It's hard to say with the way things have been going at the minute, but fingers crossed.
Fair enough. Jack?
Yeah,
what are you thinking about tomorrow?
We have to win this game. We have to win this game. If we are going to have any hope of having a chance of getting into European football again next year, and some of the noise, to be fair, around Eddie Howe being eased, they have to win this game. Burnley haven't won a game in 9. They lost 7 in a row. They've drawn their last 2, to be fair, against Bournemouth and Everton. Now, normally you go, okay, fair enough, that's decent results. Bournemouth have dropped off a cliff in terms of form, and they won a game since October. And Everton were without Grealish, Dewsbury Hall, and Njai. Their 3 best players. So the fact that Burnley didn't actually beat them at Turf Moor is more of an indictment actually against Scott Parker and Burnley than it is Everton. Everton, would be happy probably with taking a point considering they didn't have their 3 best players. So we have to win this game. And this starts a run of games that we have to win. We then have Palace and Leeds as well in the next Premier League games, right? All in the space of a week, essentially. Palace...
All home games as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Palace are a team who are now starting to get affected by European football. All the games they have to play, the AFCON, their injuries, because we kind of all sort this with Palace anyway. Like, Glasner has a squad of about 15 players he likes to use. Now he's at a point where he's having to use the players he doesn't like to use. And it's evident.
Sounds familiar, that. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. No, it's very similar. It's very similar to Newcastle 23-24. It really is. And they'll improve once they go out of competitions. But at the moment, that's where they are. And then it's Leeds at home, who have improved massively since they changed to a back 3 with Calvert-Lewin scoring 7 in 6 or something, or where that's come from. He's turned it around. But we have to win all of those games. So I'm going to say we will win all of those games because we have to. It's as simple as that. I think we'll win 2-0 tomorrow.
2-0 tomorrow. Big shout. Daz?
So I'm just going to throw something in here. It's a little bit off the question. Would you go for Gay?
Well, we have no chance to get him. So
his contract's up at the end of the season. Do you put a bid in for do you actually just put a financial bid in for him?
I think Newcastle.
Your question is, would we go for him?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Would we get him? No, we wouldn't. I think Jack's right. But would we go for him? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We had our chance when we had all those bids rejected. You know, that £70 million bid. That was the chance to get him because at that point we were the only ones in for him.
Yeah.
You know, he turned down Spurs. He had set his eyes on joining Newcastle, but he didn't push for the move. Like kind of how his move to Liverpool didn't happen. He didn't push for the move because he's a respectful captain and a respectful player for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And then they won the FA Cup with him in the team. So as much as they probably regret losing out on that money, they're not going to really, I don't think the fans care. And ultimately, Gahey will have a pick of every single club in the world in the summer. He really will. When his contract expires, every single top team in the world will be after Mark Gahey. It's a shame, but we've just missed out on him. Obviously, I would want to be in for him, but we have missed out on him.
So, see, for me, my thinking would be to throw the kitchen sink at Mark Gahey and sell Botman in the summer. But anyway, going back onto Burnley, I think we're going to win. I don't know where this confidence comes from for away from home because our away form is absolutely shocking.
Has to end at some point.
Yeah. I mean, but
it's got to at some point. Like,
although, like, if you look at the last season's away form, with our first 9 games away from home, we won 3, we lost 3, we drew 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like this year so far, we've played 8 away from home in the league. We've lost 4 of them, drew 3 of them, and won 1. But the two of the games that we've lost, we've conceded late on. And a lot of the games, I think it was Brentford and West Ham, they're the only ones that beat us by 2 goals. The rest have been a single goal. But I'm with Jack. I'm feeling a 2-0. I'm feeling a clean sheet tomorrow. And I do feel as though he's going to start Visser tomorrow. That would be my thing because he just looks a little bit more of a Newcastle. Again, it goes back to what we had with Isaac, and I don't want to bring him up, but I do feel as though he's going to be the key for us against Burnley. You never know. Eddie might shock us, Jason, and go with a 4-4-2. But even getting them 2 players up top, we could even play a 3-5-2 with wing backs. But no, I feel as though under Eddie Howe, we tend to go on a run. And I feel as though tomorrow is going to be the start of that. And we've got, as I say, a lot of home games after that as well, going into the start of January. and I feel as though we need to get a good set of results because the back end of January's fixtures are looking difficult.
Pretty rough, aren't they?
Yeah, Villa have won 117 games on the spin, I think, and we're away to PSG and obviously Liverpool. So and we know how
Manchester City.
Yeah, we know how the away games to Liverpool tend to go. Entertaining, but we lose at the end. But then again, hopefully tying it in, I would like to think that we've got targets set in place, and come 1 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of January, we're acting on it. Hopefully, Wilson's and how we're singing from the same hymn sheet. I'm sure I've read somewhere saying that Wilson said that we've got cash to spend from the summer. Let's go and do it. Let's go and be proactive. And yes, we're going to have to spend a little bit more money. But again, we may lose a couple of players as well. There's links of Trippier going to Saudi, even Joe Linton as well, from what I've read. Again, these sources are questionable. But you just don't know who's going to come in, and it's one of those where if players are out of contract, do you let them go for a bit of money? Again, it could be like upsetting the apple cart because these players have been key to our identity under Howe since a lot of these players have come in. So I'm going with a good 2-0 win tomorrow. Nice, calm, Visser, and Gordon's going to score his first goal from open play in the Premier League for 7 years.
Yeah, feels like it, doesn't it?
Is it 20, 28, 26, 27 games?
It was in January. So yeah,
from open play, play.
Yeah, it was in January. Yeah.
No, it's going to be a tough run that we've got coming up. It's going to be a tough run that we've got coming up. That is for sure. But I think Jack pinpointed it spot on. I think tomorrow's going to be a win. 2-1. I think I'm the same as Callum. I think just the defence that we've had and the way we've been, I think we have got a tendency of leaking a goal. I'd love it to be 2-0, but I just think the way that we've been at the moment, I think that we will let a goal in, but I do think we'll score more tomorrow. I do hope Wissa starts. I'm with you on that one as well. And I'd like to see Barnes on the right again, because I felt like when he played on the right and Gordon was on the left, it did work. I know it's not his position. I know it's not where he wants to be. But Murphy gets balls in, but he's too inconsistent. Elanga's just not been working just yet. So for me, I'd be starting with Barnes, especially for the first 60 minutes, just to run at their defence and just from both sides. Because Barnes is good with his feet as well. So that's where I would sit in that aspect.
I'd switch them round, Jess. I'd have Gordon.
You'd put Gordon on the right.
Yeah, I'm not against that at all. I'm not against that at all. I think Gordon played well on the right a few times last season. If you remember when we beat Arsenal 1-0, he put in that unbelievable cross for Isak, and that was him on the right.
Yeah,
and it was Barnes on the left. So Barnes is much better on the left, and so is Gordon. I know it's difficult, but Barnes at the moment is playing better than Gordon. Barnes should get the priority of right. I want to play on the left. Right, well, you put it on the left then. You still want Gordon in the team, fair enough. He gets on the right wing, he puts a shift in, and he puts some crosses in the box because, Gordon is annoying me. He's been annoying me for a long time because he's starting for England.
Just as a person or a footballer?
No, but he starts for England. But what does he do for us apart from score some penalties? And I appreciate you got to score penalty, fair play, great. But what is he offering me in the games? He's been poor, apart from a 3-month spell last season for about a year, well over a year.
He's been poor since he started wearing a headband.
We're blaming it on the headband, are we? Yeah, fair enough.
the headband.
Get rid of the headband.
But no, that's a fair shout. So, closing on that one. So we're all expecting wins tomorrow. Brilliant. Guys, Callum, Jack, Daz, thank you very much for coming on today. I hope you all have a fantastic new year.
Well, it totally depends on the tomorrow, isn't it?
I'll have one anyway. Doesn't matter what happens
Yeah,
tomorrow.
fair enough. Oh yeah.
I might be starting tomorrow.
I'll be looking out for your name then on that
late
on
call
that team sheet. Is that streaker that you see running on from the corner?
Trust me, mate. I ain't going to be streaking on a cold Wednesday, Tuesday. Sorry, at Turf Moor. Not a chance.
But no, seriously, guys, have a good new year. Hope all the fans have a good new year. Obviously, we've got a podcast coming up, which will be on the January window. So Daz will make sure to get you on that because you seem like you're really riled up and ready for that one. So you can get your list of players, get your notes, get your whiteboard out and everything ready for that one. And obviously, we'll have the match reaction. We'll have the match reaction tomorrow as well after the game. So, lads, thank you very much and take care.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.